Good morning, Mr. Motor Show, and everybody on board. All right, so today there are so many fundamental activities in the market today. Good morning, Mr. Naji. 8 a.m. this morning, there'll be retail sales from the United Kingdom. Volatility is expected, and I'll show you the pair I'm looking at for this particular news event just in a few minutes from now. Good morning, Mr. Ekpe Ambassador. Morning to you, sir. So 8 a.m. we're having retail sales from United Kingdom. Then we have the French Flash Manufacturing PMI, French Flash Services PMI from the Eurozone by 9:15, 9:30 German Flash Manufacturing PMI and German Flash Services PMI by 9:30. All this might really impact upon the euro, so we need to trade the euro pairs with a lot of caution around this period. WWEF annual meetings all day today, so that might have a general impact upon the mood of the market. Good morning, Jaja Ekowe. I think I'm seeing this name for the first time, and if you're not on board for the first time, welcome on board all the same. And by 10:30, there'll be Flash Manufacturing PMI and Flash Services PMI from the United Kingdom. So we have two events from the UK this morning, both the retail sales by 8 and the Flash Services and Flash Manufacturing PMI by 10:30 a.m. Then 11 a.m. we have, all the other events. But most importantly, by 2:30 p.m., we have core retail sales and retail sales from Canada. And this might really impact upon the Canadian dollar. I will also show you the pair I'm looking at for this event. So those are actually the two major important news today. Others, it's 50-50, the volatility is 50-50. Later today, Flash Services PMI and Flash Services manufacturing PMI from United States. But the two major ones I'm looking at today in recent, the others may produce volatility or not, but the key ones that will most likely provide give us volatility is the retail sales from the United Kingdom by 8 a.m. this morning. These retail sales, then the core retail sales and retail sales from Canada. These two major events, we expect a lot of volatility on them. So let's just flip over to the charts to look at our expectation for both the British pound and the Canadian dollar. Now for the British pound, I'll be looking at the GBP AUD. GBP AUD. Now the GBP AUD currently is trading at the support level on the 1 hour time frame. If you go to the daily time frame, we can see that support zone is, actually resting on this region over here, and this is where price is. So technically, we're looking for a reversal in price. So if the data comes out good for the British pound, then we expect a reversal on the GBP AUD. On the 1 hour, it was actually forming an inverse head and shoulder, and though it's looking like it's getting stretched, the second shoulder is getting stretched, but notwithstanding, that may not really have any negative impact, even if we have the data come out good. So we're looking at the good data for GBP, for the British pound rather, and which we'll expect will lead to a bullish movement on the GBP AUD. Now, if the move is very fast for you, at the time when the data is released, there's nothing to worry about. You may just wait for the technicals to take over because this is an inverse head and shoulder pattern. So if the news comes out fast and you are unable to enter, no need to worry. Just wait for a breakout above this neckline region, and you can still trigger a buy trade. So we are very, very bullish on the GBP AUD. So you might look at setting your take profit, the two closest levels, this region here and this other one. So if the breakout happens, at least the first move can give you like close to about 20 to 30 pips, and the other one can give as much as about 100 pips. So we're bullish on GBP AUD. And secondly is the CAD, the news from Canada. And for the news from Canada, we're going to be looking at the NZD CAD. And for NZD card on the daily time frame, we can see that price, is in a downward trend. Price is in a downward trend on the daily time frame. So technically we're, looking for a further bearish breakout. So price touched the trend line third time, and we'll move over to the 1 hour time frame. Now, currently on the 1 hour, it's looking like it's forming a head and shoulder pattern, but let's check the lower time frame. Okay, I think it's clear around the 30-minute shoulder. This is a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, and we're expecting a further breakout. So if by 2:30 p.m. the data comes out good for the Canadian dollar, then we'll expect a further bearish movement on the NZD card. Reason is that the card on this instrument is a quote currency, not the base currency. So we're looking at the data to be good for the Canadian dollar so they can trigger a bearish movement on the NZD card. All right, so those are the two instruments I'm looking at for the major news events this morning. That's the retail sales from the United Kingdom and the core retail sales, from Canada. Now there are two other pairs rather I'm looking at. We're expecting some movement from the Eurozone also, with all the flash services and the flash manufacturing PMI, and the Euro NZD might react to that. All right, so this is a Euro NZD on the daily time frame, and price has been in an uptrend. Higher lows, and price touched the trend line last night as another higher low. So technically, we should be looking forward to an uptrend movement on this instrument. So if you feel down to the 1 hour time frame, or better still also 30 minutes, because it looks like they are clear on the lower time frame. We are also seeing the formation of an inverse head and shoulder pattern. So we're expecting a further breakout to the upside. So if the data comes out, all the data from the Eurozone this morning, the flash and services, German flash services, if they all come out good for the euro, then we are looking at buying the Euro NZD. Now this one might come up immediately after the news from the United Kingdom. Let me go back to the chart. To the Forex factory. So in essence, if the data on retail sales comes out good for the British pound, we are buying the GBP AUD. That's the instrument we're looking to trade by 8 o'clock this morning. It's just 29 minutes from now. Now for the Eurozone, if the data combined comes out good for the euro. Okay, we have two other ones. If it all comes out good for the euro, we're looking at buying the Euro NZD. Please take note of these instruments I'm mentioning. And the one from Canada by 2:30 p.m., if the data comes out good for the Canadian dollar, we're looking at selling the NZD card. And I explained reason being that the NZD card rather, the Canadian dollar is a quote currency, not the base currency. So if the data comes out good for the Canadian dollar, we're looking at selling the NZD card. All right, that will be all from my end this morning. You can see that all the instruments we have analyzed has to do with the upcoming news event. So I want us to be very cautious, when trading all these particular instruments, because they are going to respond to the volatility of the news we're expecting this morning. Okay, so I'll attend to questions, and if you want to add, go ahead to add to the questions. To the request, because I can see some people already asking questions on what they want me to analyze. So Mr. Austin is asking me to check the USD JPY. So I'm going over now to MetaTrader again to check the USD JPY. Now, my outlook on USD JPY from the beginning of the week, which I still maintain up until now, is a bearish outlook. And these are my reasons for being bearish. Even though the better part of the week, it has not really moved bearish, but technically, I am very bearish on the USDJPY. If it does not move bearish this week, maybe next week it will. Now, this is the USDJPY on the weekly time frame. The price closed as a rejection candle last week around a resistance zone. So we have a resistance here. All right, so we have resistance and we have rejection candle. So technically, that is expected to give us, a bearish movement. And if we flip down to 4-hour time frame, we can draw a rising wedge pattern, which is also another pattern that indicates a possible bearish breakout. All right, so we still anticipate that bearish movement on the USD anytime it chooses to happen. So I'm still bearish, very, very much bearish on the USD though it's on a swing outlook for what I'm seeing, but then we're still bearish on the USD Okay, Mr. Ekman Ambassador is asking me to check Ethereum UST. So let's check. All right, so this is Ethereum USD on the weekly time frame. And on the weekly, we can clearly see that price, the overall trend is bullish. This is a higher low, some higher low, some higher lows. And this is the current week. So technically, we're looking at a push back to the upside. And if we go to the daily, we can see price resting on that trend line, you know, higher lows, higher lows. Now, the unique thing here is that the candle that closed 2 days ago closed as a rejection candle, that green candle. So technically, we should see a move to the upside. Though the whole of yesterday, instead of going upside, it was a retracement back to retest that trend line. But then I believe strongly we should have that move to the upside, possibly today. So if you go down to 4-hour time frame, it's forming what in this case may be looking like a double bottom to trigger a move to the upside after breaking this neckline region. Then finally we have 1 hour. The 1 hour is not too clear, it's not an inverted and shoulder. Let me not call it any name, but ultimately we should be expecting a reversal to the upside, even on 1 hour if price is able to break out above this neckline region. So we can still look at it more like, like that double bottom that I was trying to form on the 4 hour and a move to the upside. So we're very bullish on the Ethereum USD. Now, if you check BTC USD, this is exactly the same analysis I had on BTC USD yesterday, but then that one was more like an inverse head and shoulder, but this looks more like a kind of a double bottom pattern. Though it's clearer on the 4 hour, but entry is clearer rather on the 1 hour. So we're bullish on the Ethereum USD. The overall trend is bullish from the weekly down to the 1 hour time frame. All right, Mr. Collins and Ace is asking me to check Euro USD. Now, Euro USD has broken out bullish for the week. All we have is a massive bullish breakout. Currently, price is in a range, so there's nothing else for price to do now. It's just in a range. Except the news in the afternoon from the United States, it is a volatile. If the news is volatile, that's what may determine the next move of Euro USD. But generally, we've had a massive breakout for Euro USD for this week. I don't expect anything spectacular today, except the news in the afternoon. Except for the news in the afternoon. Otherwise, personally, I'll just stay out of the Euro USD, GBP USD, and gold. GBP USD likewise has been a massive move, and it's retracing. Sorry, it's in a range up there also on both the 1 hour and 4 hour. We're having a range here. A range is also called a consolidation. Here the trend is not clear. So it could either break up to the upside or down. But since well, this one has been having a regular movement all week anyway compared to the Euro USD. But then that's just a range. Price could break out to the upside or the downside. And the same thing also goes for the Euro USD. Though this one is at a resistance level here, we may see a move to the downside, but I'm not really putting my heart or giving clarity on it, except for the news in the afternoon. Otherwise, I'm not really seeing much volatility on these two instruments today. Gold. Please, I've been saying it. If you want to trade gold this season, trade gold with a lot of caution. Trade gold if you have a lot of liquidity to carry gold, because there is a lot of political events happening globally that's affecting gold at this moment. One of it is the decision by the United States President Donald Trump to acquire Greenland. Iran is having its own issue. US and Venezuela is on. These are the things that are driving gold. Now, gold hit a new high some couple of days back, retraced, broke that high. Now it's on another new high altogether, and it seems to be in a range at the moment. Now, as long as all these events are mentioned in the zone, gold might actually be buying. But the danger is that we don't know when it will retrace into a sell. And if your liquidity is not so strong, that is, your equity is not so strong, it might affect you. So there's a possibility in this range, two things will happen. Price might break out upwards or back to retest this previous, resistance, now turning a support. So just watch out. If it breaks out on the lower side here, maybe it might hit this previous support zone. Possibly, maybe it might hit it. And if it breaks out to the upside, it might be making a new high. But most importantly, make sure you have proper risk management in place because you never can tell when a retracement or a reversal could happen. Technically, we don't really have any serious setup technically for now. The movement is more fundamental driven. All right, I think I've attended to all the requests here. Then that means we need to end the analysis here. If you're on the call this morning, you don't have a trading account with PU Prime, just go ahead and open a live trading account on our website, www.puprime.com. Or better still, if anybody has reached out to you from PU Prime before, maybe in a call or a WhatsApp chat, try to trace that call. That person is most likely to be your account manager. So if they have dropped a registration link with you in time past, just go and click it and register your trading account, with that particular link. But in all of this, if you can't trace the calls, the WhatsApp,